During the war with Afghanistan,
Great story.
you reported that during a key battle, our side in that battle had the enemy surrounded. There were a reported perhaps 8,000 enemy forces in there.
Maybe even more, but certainly minimum that many.
It's your story. Take it.
Well, they had the cream of the crop of Al-Qaeda caught in a town called Kunduz. It's in one little village, and it's a couple hundred kilometers, 150 miles from the border of Pakistan. And I learned this story, frankly, through very, very clandestine operatives we have in the Delta Force and other very, we were operating very heavily and with a small number of men, 300-400 really, in the first days of the war. And suddenly, one night when they had everybody cornered in Kunduz, the Special Forces people were told there was a corridor that they could not fly in. There was a corridor sealed off, the United States military sealed off a corridor. In other words, nobody could shoot anybody in this little lane that went from Kunduz into Pakistan. And that's how I learned about it. I learned about it from a military guy who wanted to fly helicopters and kill people and couldn't do it that day.
So we had the enemy surrounded. The Special Forces guys are helping surround this enemy.
They're whacking everybody they can whack. That looks like a bad guy.
Suddenly they're told to back off
from
and
a
let
certain area.
planes fly out to Pakistan.
There was about 3 or 4 nights in which I can tell you maybe 6, 8, 10, maybe 12 more or more heavily weighted Pakistani military planes flew out with an estimated no less than 2,500, maybe 3,000, maybe more. I've heard as many as 4,000 or 5,000. They were not only Al-Qaeda, but they were also, you see, the Pakistani ISI was the military advisors to the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. There were dozens of senior Pakistani military officers, including 2 generals, who flew out. And I also learned after I wrote this story that maybe even some of bin Laden's immediate family were flown out on those evacuations. We allowed them to evacuate. We had an evacuation.
How high up was that evacuation authorized?
I am here to tell you it was authorized. Donald Rumsfeld, who we'll talk about what he said later, it had to be authorized at the White House, but certainly at the Secretary of Defense level.
The Department of Defense said to us that they were not involved and that they don't have any knowledge of that operation.
That's what Rumsfeld said when they asked him